Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our Week 2 review coming right up, a few days later than ideal, but we got our Thursday through Saturday games to cover, and yeah, we're going to do all that on this program, and then the day that this is going to be releasing, we will be recording our previews this day. So, Rick, we're going to be recording tomorrow, the previews for the next week. As I got a bunch of stuff coming out, and we'll have it coming out at a good time.
Whenever Carter tells me, Rick, let's record, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there you go. And Rick, I gotta say, 4-0 week for me. A lot better.
I mean,
on the pick'ems.
I went 3-1. I got my bonus for our pick'ems.
This is true. I didn't get. Although I got my big bonus for the pick'ems.
You know what?
Which is crazy because in our pick'ems league, I am ahead of you, even though we have the same record. Simply because
only because of the one bonus.
Because last week neither of us got bonus points, but then this week I got the two bonus. I understand why they put it in there, though. You know what I mean? It kind of rewards doing really well in a certain week, so fair enough.
No, you only got the one bonus on top of what I got.
Yeah, but you got an extra 2 bonus points. I got 4
Yeah.
bonus points because I went 4 straight. Yeah. But anyways, well, shall we get into the first game of the week here, Rick?
So before we get into the first game, I'm just going to mention something. Holy fucking injuries, Batman. And I'm just going to do a pipe drop right there and just let you go on.
Yeah, no, actually, one thing I was wondering, should I actually have the background of the team that won? I think we're going to do that moving forward. I'm going to do the background of the team that won per game. So, first game. Bombers win by a score of 34-20 over the BC Lions. Chris Streveler gets it done, and Nathan Rourke still without a single win against the Bombers in his entire CFL career, which is a crazy stat.
And Carter's man crush goes down.
Brady Oliveira! Fuck, that hurt me. And now he's going to be on the 6th game. But now it's Matthew Peterson!
Is he really on the 6th game?
I heard somewhere that he might be on the 6th game, or that he might be, if he is on the 6th game, like, because to be fair, like, Rick, you know how like some people will go on the 6th game, but they'll be on it for like 4 games and then they'll come off?
Yeah.
I heard it might be something like that. But I heard it's going to be a few games. Like, it's not going to be 1 or 2. It's going to be at least 3. That was kind of what I had heard regarding Brady Oliveira. So, Brady Oliveira starts the game for Winnipeg. And funny enough, gets a 6-yard run. So, already a very good run. His second run, though, he runs for 43, which, fun fact, is Brady Oliveira's longest single run of his career. So it's not like Brady Oliveira was bad. He only got 2 rushes and had an average of 24.5 rushing yards. So overall was just great in that regard. Although I see we lost Rick here. Let's get him back. Rick,
I'm doing some magic tricks. I'm back.
Okay, there we go. But yeah, so like Brady Oliveira, an average of 24.5 on his 2 rushes that he had a very, very strong start. Just unfortunately was kind of, it was a bit of an undisclosed injury at first, but then we would later learn it was an upper body. I believe that's what it is. That's what we're looking at. Is that correct, Rick?
That's what I was told.
Okay.
And then also to find out, you guys also lost Benson too.
Yes, yeah, we lost our long snapper Mike Benson, so on special teams. So we'll have to see where the Bombers make some adjustments there. Chris Streveler plays this game for Winnipeg, 15 for 24. So completion percentage, not the best, but also not really that bad. So firstly, 246 passing yards with an average of 10.2 yards per pass. So pretty good for Streveler, as Streveler, again, really doesn't have that great of an arm. So it's nice to see an average above 10. 3 touchdown passes and just one interception. And to be honest, like, Rick, did you watch this game or no? I'm just wondering. Because I did not think that the pick that he threw was a really weird one. It was one where he kind of passed to someone and a guy just kind of snuck his arms just kind of under and grabbed it. Like, to be honest, I've seen Strevler throw some bad interceptions before. This, in my opinion, was not a bad interception. This was one where it was just a really good defensive play. And I don't really think you can really blame Strevler for that. But one of the biggest kind of takeaways from this game was Matthew Peterson. 23 rushes, 130 rushing yards, an average of 5.7, very good average, with the longest rush of 38 yards, and he got a rushing touchdown. Matthew Peterson was everything that the Bombers wanted him to be and more in this game, as he just...
You're welcome.
...was very much... Thank you, Hamilton. Of course, this was part of the trade that the Bombers made with the Ticats, where the Bombers moved up in the draft and also acquired Matthew Peterson. So, not going to lie, trade's looking pretty good for Winnipeg so far. As very good to see that there's a capable backup behind Brady Oliveira. As again, the running game is very important for Winnipeg. One thing I got to say, Jason Hogan. I like this playbook. As there are similarities to the Buck Pierce playbook, definitely. Again, Jason Hogan has been in the organization while Buck Pierce was offensive coordinator. But he also had a little bit of trickery of his own. And there's one thing that you will not find on the stat sheet that needs to be talked about for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We will talk about the BC Lions, I promise. We will. I'm going on in my Bombers bit. The offensive line for Winnipeg was fucking fantastic Thursday. They were just excellent. Seriously, a lot of times Strevler had the time he needed to be able to make the plays that he needed to make. They gave up 2 sacks. Tavai and Hendricks on BC were both able to get a sack, so credit to them. But their pass blocking was good, but their run blocking was really good, where there'd be numerous instances where Jason Hogan really likes to pull those guards across, and when those guards pulled across, Neufeld and I'm trying to remember who we had playing. Was it Vanderpool? I want to say it was Vanderpool. Neufeld and Vanderpool were just absolutely smashing into those defensive ends, into those outside linebackers, and allowing the run game to really explode through the center. And so it just gave a lot, credit. As much as I gave a lot of credit to Matthew Peterson here, the offensive line showed up and gave him the opportunity to get the rushing yards that he got. And so very, very impressed with the offensive line in this game. Definitely, if you're going to do 3 stars of the game, the entire O-line is in one of those 3 stars of the game for Winnipeg. Receiving, I said that Chris Strevler, as much as he likes guys like Schoen and he likes guys like Dembski, he connected very well with Wheatfall. With Carrick Wheatfall, that was the guy that he threw to in the preseason, and I said, I bet you that if there's going to be a standout receiver, it's going to be Wheatfall. And where are we now? It's Wheatfall. 5 receptions, 127 receiving yards for 1 touchdown. However, 2 touchdown passes for Nick Dembski, but Wheatfall was definitely pushing the field the most in the receiving game, and he was very, very good. Now, an interesting stat here, Sergio Castillo goes 2 for 3, and he does miss a convert, which everyone's freaking out about this. Sergio Castillo misses a convert. What? When has he ever done this? And I'm not panicking. Firstly, I watched the rest of the CFL here, and I'm having a hard time finding a kicker who's had a good start to his year. I've seen Paredes miss. I guess Leggio has had a decent start.
Leggio hasn't missed one yet.
Also, yes, I'll give you that. Although, what was his longest field goal this week?
I want to say the 30s, but at least he's still making them.
Okay, I'll give him that. Although, to be fair, Castillo does hit a 50 in this game. But then again, so it's like, if the Bombers, who are the Bombers' kind of number one target for kind of near the top of the West. Well, there's the Lions, but then it's also the Riders. And in terms of the Riders' kicking game, I'm not fucking concerned. As from what I saw this week, oh boy. But anyway, so firstly, there's that. Secondly, Castillo hasn't missed a convert in like what? At least a year? Almost 2 years? Like, this is where it's like, everybody put the pitchforks down, calm down, it's going to be fine. Obviously, it was a little annoying that he missed the other one, but the other one was a 46-yarder. So it's not that bad as much as he usually would hit those. So a little bit of an off game for Castillo, but not a very, very big deal. Another guy we need to talk about, Trey Vival, kickoff and punt returner, was excellent, was really, really slippery. A lot of times that it looked like he was just about to get tackled, that he just would get out of there. And he had some decent blocks in front of him, but he was able to do a lot with kind of very little on some plays as well. So Vival, excellent returner. Hope to see him stay there. If Peyton Logan comes back and is healthy, I'd be curious about them kind of experimenting with that. But there's a part of me that's like, you know what? Vival has kind of earned that spot. On the defensive side of things, very good game for Terrell Bonds, as Terrell Bonds very much stopped some pretty dangerous chances in the end zone. Tony Jones just all around the field doing a very good job. So kind of your two of your big defensive players there. Although Marquise Bridges in the Terrell Ford spot, is he going to be able to perform like Terrell Ford? No one had the expectations of it. But 2 picks in your first game is certainly looking pretty darn good. So very pleased with Marquise Bridges. Which then brings us over to the BC Lions. Nathan Rourke goes 12 for 27. Ouch. Yowza. Like,
I was going to say, don't forget he did leave this game with an injury too.
Yes, yeah. Now with Nathan Rourke's, I don't even know what kind of an injury it is.
It is.
So Nathan Rourke would play the majority of this game. He'd go 12 for 27, so less than 50%. 249 passing yards, 9.2 yards on average. Obviously, he has that very, very long throw that went very, very well for him. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then Jeremiah Mazzoli would go 7 for 10, 84 passing yards, but would only throw 1 pick himself. Nathan Rourke rushing got 58 yards. He would lead the team in rushing. He also got a rushing touchdown. James Butler, only 27 yards on 10 rushes, an average of 2.7, just not good enough in the Canadian Football League. And receiving, it was very much Keon Hatcher. That was kind of their number one go-to guy. 4 receptions for 150 yards for 1 touchdown. Pretty sure that really long pass that they had that really long touchdown pass was for him. Sean White would go 2 for 2 for them. So pretty consistent kicking game from Sean White, but nothing overly challenging for him either.
So,
yeah.
They say oblique strain injury, and layman's terms, you're abdominant.
I see. On the defensive side of things, Micah Alway leading the charge defensively, 10 tackles for him. A sack for Tavai as well for Hendricks, like I mentioned before. And then the 1 interception goes to BC Lions defensive back, Gary Peters. Again, that was one where I thought it was just a very good play by Gary Peters. I don't think that was a Chris Streveler issue as much. But all in all, the Bombers were consistently scoring through this game, and they shut out the Lions in the fourth quarter. Bombers have done very, very well kind of historically in the fourth quarter. Would have actually gotten more points if Castillo had hit the conversion as well as a field goal. They would have gotten 10 points there and put them up even up to 38 points. But all in all, can't really complain. Bombers win 34-20. And is there anything you got to say on this game, Rick?
It's interesting that you say that, because as you're talking about BC, I just get notification on my phone. The current expectation is for Nathan Rourke to take part in practice on Tuesday in some fashion, but it's still too early to tell if he will play on Saturday versus the Bombers, but there is some optimistic as of
I
right
see.
now.
Now,
So
one
it's
thing
still
I
a
also
50
need
50
to
chance.
mention. So, punter for the Bombers, Jamison Sheehan, records the strangest rouge single point I have ever seen. Did you see this, Rick?
Uh,
So Sheehan punts the ball, and it's going towards the end zone, okay? But it's going off to the
yeah.
side. It looks like it may go out of bounds, and it's about to bounce out of bounds, and it hits the top of the cone on the corner of the end zone and knocks it
Oh,
down,
yes. I
which
remember
means
seeing
that
this.
technically it is in the end zone. And so Jamison Sheehan gets a rouge hitting the cone on the corner. So not a play, not certainly not anything anyone was expecting of him, but nevertheless can't not be pleased with that. So fair enough. Is there anything you got? Anything else you got there, Rick?
Not with this game, I don't.
Fair enough. Which will lead us into the Friday game, where the Montreal Alouettes defeat the Ottawa Redblacks in Ottawa
Buddy,
by a
this
score
isn't no defeat.
of
This is a
39
freaking
to
mugging.
18. Sorry, the Montreal Alouettes dismantle the Ottawa Redblacks. So at the start of the year, I thought Ottawa, you know what? They made improvements and whatnot. Maybe they have a chance of doing something this year. The problem is that I wouldn't expect the utter collapse of them. I also didn't have Drew Brown getting injured in like one freaking game and having Matthew Schultz go in and then go in and throw 3 interceptions as part of my bingo card at the start of the year. But this is the world we live in. So Rick, what are we starting with? Which are we starting with the team that dominated, or are we starting with the dumpster fire in this game?
So the funny thing is, last year, I don't know if you remember the season all too well, but when Hamilton played Calgary first week of the season last year, Paredes kicked 6 field goals in the victory over us last year.
Yeah.
Do you know how many field goals Maltos kicked this week?
Didn't he kick like
6?
like 6? Yeah, I was about to say he was kicking like crazy, was he not?
Mind you, James Alexander did throw 400 or 344 yards.
Yeah, 23 for 32. Good, very good for him. 10.8 yards on average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So overall, not too much complaining here. Although I see here that their leading rusher was Travis Tees instead of Sean Thomas Erlington. Bit of an interesting stat there.
Yeah,
So,
they're wide receivers. It's a chooser.
yeah.
You can see one person doing it one week and another person doing it the next.
Yeah, no. Austin Mack, Tyson Philpott, Letcher Jr., all 3 of them kind of brought it. Austin Mack leading the charge in terms of the most receiving yards, but Letcher Jr. with the 1 touchdown pass to him.
Also, just a big shout out to Mr. Charleston Rambo. He missed this game for personal reasons, and that's why James Letcher was wide receiver.
Oh.
We found out he got married. He got hitched. So that's why he wasn't.
Well, congratulations to Rambo on that.
But yeah, that's why James Letcher was wide receiver in this game.
But it was
Next
one of those
man up.
things, like if I'm looking at like the matchup here. Ottawa gets 3 points in the second quarter, 15 in the third, and a big fat nothing to start and finish this game. Meanwhile, if we look at the Montreal Alouettes, they get 3 points in the first, 16 in the second, then 7 in the third, and 13 in the fourth. Also known as the Red Blacks defense was not going well.
I will just use a quote from Milt Stegall this weekend. Hot garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was.
You're like, yeah,
it was bad. It was bad. No, they for the Alouettes, leading the charge defensively was Najee Murray, who had 7 tackles for them, playing corner. However, Dylan Wynn, former Ticat, 5 tackles, got a sack for him. Adeyemi Berglund with a sack for him. And then your 3 interceptions were to Kenton Arku, Aguk, and Sutton. I probably butchered that name, but we'll see. But yeah, Malto 6 for 6, 3 extra points with the longest field goal at 50 yards. So not much you can complain about there.
And Arku was the third one.
Oh, I did say that. I think that was the first one I said.
I'm pretty sure Sutton's interception was thrown right to him, if I'm not mistaken.
That checks out. So, Rick, do we swap over to the dumpster fire?
The dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire! Oh, God. 22 for 32, so not even a bad completion percentage. But
I was going to say, I've seen mixed reactions. I've seen people already calling for Bob Dice's head. I've seen people call for Tommy Condell's head.
Oh yeah, Rick, are you gonna have to bring this shirt out of retirement?
I will say, when I go down to Ottawa in 2 weeks for the Toronto-Ottawa game, I will be bringing the shirt. And when I go down in July, when we go to watch Hamilton play Ottawa, I will be bringing the shirt.
Of course you will. Yep. The hatred of Tommy Condell from Rick never stops.
The problem that I have with this team is, if you are seeing Schultz play like shit, why not bring Dustin Crum in earlier?
Yeah, no, and Dustin Crum had been able to have some success with the Red Blacks before. Like, again, not a long-term solution, not a guy you want as your starter. But, yeah, no, I would have brought in Dustin Crum earlier. He had 2 passes, completed both of them, only for 5 yards, but, wasn't missing it. Wasn't throwing it to the wrong team.
Especially when your leading receiver has 5 catches for 56 yards.
Yeah. No, but there's no rushing game. William Stanback, 29 rushing yards on 7 rushes. An average of 4.1. That's not good enough. Dustin Crum gets them the 1 rushing touchdown in this game on one of his 3 rushes. Just short yardage. But receiving-wise, Eugene Lewis led the charge, 5 receptions for 56 receiving yards. Just behind him, Braylon Addison, who had 52 on 6 receptions and got the 1 receiving touchdown for the Red Blacks here. And then it's just kind of all over the place, and they just, they couldn't get a lot of offense going, but they couldn't play defense at all. They just couldn't. Lewis Ward went 1 for 1, got 2 extra points. And then even if you look at the defense here, Santos, Knox, and Priest are both with 5 tackles each. But besides that, it really falls off, and there's not much there. There was a interception for Colden, a sack for Ta'ala, and then that's about it. Besides that, it was just Montreal running over this team. So.
Now this is the 2nd straight game that Ottawa has not had a running game. But they've had less than 50 yards rushing.
Yeah. Yeah, no. At least, and this is the 2nd game that they've also given up 30-plus points. So, They also couldn't play defense. So, defense has been an issue for Ottawa, and then also just a lack of a running game. So.
Defense has been an issue for 3 East teams, not named Montreal.
Then we'll see where the standings lie at the end of this season. Which brings us to, are we ready?
To the biggest hot garbage mess I've ever seen in my life. And yes, I was at this game.
You're at the start of this game. You were not at
the start of this game.
So yeah, we're talking obviously about.
I went for the first quarter and then I left because I had to go
Calgary
catch the second
Toronto game, where the Stampeders won by a score of 29-19. Of course, this was
before
Argos.
Before we break this down, so this is how much of a hot mess this was. So in the first half, you have 9-4. You have Reggie Bangleton leave the game injured.
And is later seen in crutches.
But it gets worse though. So Crawford, their long snapper, is injured, but because their backup long snapper is hot garbage, they had to play Nick Crawford injured as this guy's limping on and off the field and down the field on punts.
Oh, God.
On top of that, Toronto loses 4 players in this game.
You know it's bad when they'd rather play an injured starter than play you.
So they lost Dante Mukbahan,
Yeah.
Winton McManus, Christmas, and I forget who the other player is, but this is just like...
Now, before we get more into it,
one last thing is...
Okay.
So now we are now officially 2 weeks into the season. Vernon Adams still has not thrown a touchdown yet.
Interesting. But
now you can have the floor.
The one thing I was going to say is actually something for before the game. So obviously this was the Grey Cup banner raising in Toronto. So Rick, because you were there, you were in attendance. I believe the first 10,000 people there were given Grey Cup rings. So
yes,
I believe you got the Argo.
I do have one.
Which, of course, Connor was very much letting you hear.
Here's another thing with this whole hot garbage bullshit in Toronto.
Uh-oh.
So because they're renovating the stadium for the World Cup.
For the FIFA World Cup, right?
Yes. Half of the entrances are not available. So you have 4 entrances on the other side that you're trying to squeeze 20 effing thousand people
I'm pretty sure the attendance is around 17,000.
Okay, well, still, to try to fit 17,000 people, then you have security telling, oh, go over to this entrance. When BMO staff are telling people to go over to this entrance, you're at the wrong one. I'm like, no. The left doesn't know what the right's doing. I'm staying here, and I'm not moving. If you have a problem, talk it up with upper management that knows what the F they are doing.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this game, I was watching this game on the train going back to Burlington, which is like a 20-minute drive from Hamilton. And it's just like, oh, my God. This couldn't get any worse.
So this was the battle of the struggling kickers, right? Because Rene Paredes missed 2. And then with Toronto, Haurelahu missed the only one he went for, right?
He went 3 for 4, so he only missed 1.
Yeah, because he went for a 42, and he got a single on it, as he had missed, but he still hit it into the end zone. And this was, not good. So Vernon Adams Jr. goes 17 for 25, 301 passing yards, 12 yards on average, very, very good. No interceptions thrown, also no touchdowns thrown. However, was able to get a touchdown rushing, as he had 7 rushes for 54 yards, 7.7 average with a single touchdown. Dedrick Mills, 13 rushes, 28 yards, 2.2 yards on average. He got a rushing touchdown, but that average has got to be better than that. That was not what they were hoping for. We have been asking if Jalen Philpott will ever have a game like his brother, and he finally did. Jalen Philpott.
Will the real Philpott please stand up?
And Jalen can finally stand up this week because he actually did perform here. Jalen Philpott, 6 receptions for 117 yards, and I promise I'm not trying to throw shade or anything like that. But we've heard this for a while. Is he going to be like his brother? Is he going to be like his brother? Is he going to be like his brother? And I'm not going to lie, for a while you know what it was? It was It was like for a while it wasn't good in the sense of one was clearly better than the other. Kind of like how
Mm.
if you compare Wayne Gretzky and Wayne Gretzky's brother, one of them is clearly better than the other. However, if you're Jalen Philpott, your hope is to become the Daniel Sedin to Tyson Philpott's Henrik Sedin. And we finally saw a glimpse of that. 6 receptions, 117 yards, like I said, and just overall was a dominant receiver for the Stampeders. This is kind of what the Stamps have been hoping for out of him. Dominic Rhymes, though, second in receiving corps for them, 4 receptions, 98 receiving yards. Reggie Bagleton, only 1 and 7, again, would leave the game in crutches, so not a good sight for the Stampeders, but at least good news to see Jalen Philpott being able to kind of step up into some bigger shoes. Rene Paredes, 3 for 5, not what you're hoping for. You're hoping for better than that, so there is that.
Just looking at the numbers, like if you take away Vernon Adams Jr.'s 54 rushing yards, they only got 33.
Yeah.
Then outside of Philpott and Rhymes, they didn't really throw to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And defensively, overall, they were all right as they got a couple sacks this game with Hutchings as well as Ormalade getting the 2 sacks.
And Adrian Green got a pick 6.
And yes, and I forgot to mention that Adrian got a pick 6, but then he also got a second pick, right?
Yes.
So he had gotten 2 picks that game. One of them a pick 6 against Nick Arbuckle. Nick Arbuckle, 31 for 42. A lot of passing for him. 309 yards, 7.4 yards on average. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Again, one of them being a pick 6 all the way back to the end zone. Williams leading the charge rushing. 9 rushes for 62 rushing yards, 6.9 average. Not terrible, but you'd think that you'd kind of rush it a little more with an average that high. DeMonte Coxey was the number 1 receiver here for Toronto. 6 receptions, 98 yards, 1 touchdown for him. And then pretty well dispersed amongst the rest of the receiving corps. It was just one of those things where they needed more touchdowns. They were able to move the ball. They were able to kind of get down towards the field. But some interceptions that were could be wrong, but from what I remember seeing of this game, at least one of those interceptions, I don't know where Arbuckle was going. And
there actually was a few people that wanted a quarterback change
for Cameron Dukes, or who was it?
No, just bring in
for
Tucker Horn or someone
Tucker
other
Horn,
than
yeah,
Arbuckle.
not Cameron Dukes. I'm so used to seeing Cameron Dukes.
And it's
Tucker
just
Horn.
People were getting pissed, and it's just
yeah. No, I understand why they're hesitant to take Arbuckle out though. He won him that Grey Cup, so I get it. But Cameron Judge leading the charge defensively for the Toronto Argonauts. 7 tackles for him. There would be sacks for Christmas, Chatfield, as well as Winton McManus. All 3 of them would get a sack. However, no interceptions that they would get off of Vernon Adams Jr. Overall, Calgary just looked like the better team. And that was just kind of my takeaway from watching this game.
It's just weird that Calgary is 2-0, and Vernon Adams has yet to throw a touchdown.
Yeah, this is strange. Is that the last of that one though? Shall we get on?
That is the last of that one.
So, the last game of the week that we have here is the Saskatchewan Roughriders beating the Hamilton Tiger Cats by a score of 28-23 in a pretty close game, which very much came down to the kind of each drive as these teams were kind of exchanging scores. Did
you watch this full game?
I watched this full game. Yep.
I will say, before I get into the numbers, what did you think of Lawler's ladder climb? Or I call it ladder climb.
It
where he
does not.
jumped
It.
and he jumped. I don't know how many feet off the ground, and he
Rick,
just like
you're
climbing up the
talking to a
ladder.
Bomber fan. He's seen it all the time. Like it's.
No, I
I'm
know,
not.
but
It's an incredible play, but to be honest, it's what I expect out of Kenny Lawler.
I mean,
8
yeah, but
receptions,
he's not in Bomber
162 passing
colors.
yards. And it's funny because Bo Levi Mitchell goes 26 for 40 here. I would like to take a look at because I'm looking at this on the Score app. How many targets did he get? Because it felt
Who's
like
that? Kenny Lawler?
Kenny Lawler, because it felt like he got a
10.
lot. 10 targets? Okay, so there were only actually 2 passes that were meant for him that he did not get. But it felt like when Bo Levi Mitchell had the ball, he was looking for Kenny Lawler. And he certainly got some success with it. There was a drive near the end of the game where I think they just kept going to, was it? Or no, I'm getting confused here with Saskatchewan. There was a drive that Saskatchewan kept going
the
just
Keyshawn Johnson drive?
the key. It's called the Keyshawn Johnson drive because he was the only player who fucking touched the ball besides Trevor Harris and the center. That was it. Greg Bell had a stronger game rushing. 5 rushes for 46 rushing yards, 9.2 on average.
We need to send out the search dogs again.
Oh yeah? Why is that?
Because Timothy's missing once again this year. He went 3 for 7 for 22 yards, even though he got the touchdown.
Yes, I was about to say. I remember he got the touchdown pass, but he also was pretty invisible in a lot of
Carter.
in a lot of ways.
I'm honestly starting to turn into you because this is my second week.
Yeah,
I'm starting to turn into you,
Rick. I'm going to interject here. I need to mention something about the Bomber game that I forgot to mention.
Sure.
I said this before we started recording. When we were doing the preview and we were talking about how the Trues were doing the halftime show for the Bombers home opener, I said, I don't know who this band is because I'd never heard the name before. But then when I started to hear them play, I was like, wait a minute, I do know this band. I did not know. There's a lot of songs that you'll grow up hearing that and you'll hear it on the radio, you'll hear it all over the stuff, and you just don't know who the band is. That was kind of my relationship with Big Rec for a while until I knew who Big Rec was. By the way, would love to see Big Rec maybe do a Grey Cup halftime show, but they're probably too small. It's unfortunate. But the Trues was very, very, very good halftime show in Winnipeg. Just needed to mention, I do know who they are. I just did not know that the songs I was hearing were them. I did not know that. Now I do.
Also, Carter, is there other news that we need to say before we go back to the Ticat game?
Yeah, one other thing is news for Grey Cup. Again, we'll get back to the Ticat Rough Fire game in a second, just before we forget. Brad Paisley will be performing, not the Grey Cup halftime show, but he will be performing in Winnipeg as kind of the Grey Cup week leading up to that game. So Brad Paisley will be performing in Winnipeg, famous country artist. So still waiting to see who will be the halftime show for the 2025 Grey Cup. Or I want to say it's 112, I think? 112?
Yeah.
Back to the Ticat Rider game.
So we need to clean up on penalties on huge plays. I'm
gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go all out here on Ticats, and then I'll cover the Rider stuff.
Okay. Yep. So I think there was 3 plays that I can remember. One was a Lawler pass. One was a Keandre Smith pass. And then there was one other one where it's just like you have big plays, but because of holdings and offsides, it just kills the whole momentum.
Yeah.
Man, our second down is atrocious. We went 9 for 20 in week 1. We went 9 for 23 in week 2. Like, I'll be glad once the guitar player himself is healthy, because then he's clutch on second down.
Yes, he is. Again, this is why you have Wolotarski.
But he hasn't played yet, so
yeah.
The next thing on my list I have is we need to stop throwing on first down as it sets up for second and long, and we don't
Rick's
have...
like, give the running game a chance.
It's not even that. It's just like, can we not just throw like 5-6 yards? Like, why are we throwing 1 2 3 yard passes? Like, it just drives me nuts.
Go.
Bo needs to get on the same page with his receivers, as a lot of players are dropping a lot of passes, or they'll be easy catches.
The real
where
Tim White please
chest.
stand up?
I mean, we're not even talking like Tim White. Like, Keandre Smith, 4 for 6. Tyler Chanowski, 2 for 4. Greg Bell, 6 for 8. Shamar Bridges, 1 for 3. Like, it just... our run game needs to be a lot better.
Yeah.
And for the love of God, can we please get some...
Although to me, it wasn't even the run game wasn't the issue this game. It was I would say they were more underutilized than were actually performing.
Not only that, but we need to get a lot of defensive line pressure on the opposing quarterback. Because I don't know how many times in that fourth quarter, like, there was times where Trevor Harris could have just, like, sat there for, like, a good 20, 30 seconds and still could have gotten a pass off.
Just wasn't getting pressured.
Yeah, the run defense needs to be a lot better. We gave up 100-plus yards.
Yeah, that'll do it.
There was some missed key blocks on the pass, which caused some sacks. I noticed that Bo was rushing some of his throws, aka in the third quarter when he threw at Tim White's feet.
Yeah.
So the special teams coverage, I'm not talking when we get the ball, but when the other team gets the ball, we got to stop allowing them to start in the 30 to 40 yard mark on the field. Cachatonis almost had 2 more interceptions. First from the tip of Keyshawn Johnson in the end zone, and then the next play on Picton's incomplete. So, also, that hit that he put on, who was in the first quarter? Oh, it was MLS. The one where he went to go hit MLS and Moxie ended up with the interception.
Oh yes. Yeah, well, that was Katsantonis going for the hit, and then Moxie
came from all the way from the other side of the field.
Yeah, he kind of came right behind him, and he was able to grab that.
Keandre Smith. I know we talked about Lawler. Keandre Smith went 4 for 6 for 46 yards.
We lost Rick. No. We've had issues with this before, as you may or may not have noticed. Apologies for that. We're gonna keep it going. Hold on a second here.
I'm back.
We got Rick back. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the last thing?
You were talking about like the hit.
No. So you didn't hear about me talking about the receivers.
You were talking about it a little. I don't know. It was kind of hard to keep track.
Okay, I'll just go back to with what I was saying.
Okay.
So we don't need to go over Lawler's receiving yards. We already discussed that. Keandre Smith went 4 for 6 for 46 yards. Greg Bell 6 for 8 for 44. Ternowski 2 for 4 for 36. White had an atrocious game, 3 for 7 for 22 with 1 touchdown. Lee Trey 2 for 2 for 17, and Shamar Bridges 1 for 3 for 9 yards. We have Kyle Wilson and Dustin Talbert leading the way with 6 defensive tackles. Mario Kendricks, funny thing is, he only played 2 games last year, and he got 2 sacks last year. He's gotten 2 games this year, 2 sacks. So he's played 4 games, has 4 sacks in his career.
There you go.
Jonathan Moxie has the lone interception. Mark Legio, the only guy that's been perfect so far. The season went 3 for 3, 2 extra points. Nick Constantino didn't have that bad except for the one kick that he shanked. He did have 6 punts for 41.8 average. Asai Wooden was game time decision. Wasn't too bad. But before I give you the floor, Carter, there's one thing that we have to discuss.
Okay.
And you should already know where I'm going with this. The league needs to be 100% better. And when I'm talking about this, officials, get your shit together.
Oh.
There was a controversial play that had happened where you seen Corey Mace halfway running down the field with his challenge flag.
Oh,
None
okay.
of the refs saw it, but yet each ref is on each team's bench, and they still did not see it. Lawler had a catch. They're trying to challenge it. Lee Trey went to go do the touchdown. On top of
and
it,
so
they challenged it. I just want to mention this one thing.
Yeah.
So then Lee Trey had to go do the touchdown again.
And the important thing is, Corey Mace, they had looked at the review. Corey Mace, this was an error on the officials where they had not seen. Corey Mace had thrown the challenge flag in time. This is not like Corey Mace tried to challenge the play after the touchdown happened afterwards, because obviously they run the next play. That means that you can't challenge a play 2 plays back. Corey Mace had thrown the challenge flag in time. Refs, get your shit together in terms of just paying attention here. Now, I'm not too upset in the sense of at the end of the day, it didn't change anything. The challenge failed. The Ticats still got the touchdown. It was a little ridiculous, though, that Corey Mace is running down the field and is like waving his arms around.
It's not even that, but could you... Like, I get that people are already calling the CFL Bush League, but what would have happened had they have challenged that play? We already had the touchdown for Lee Trey. They called that touchdown back, and then Lee Trey could not get in. Like, that would have looked bad on the league.
This is true. This would have been a bad look. Not a fault of the Ticats there. Like the Ticats are annoyed. Like as much as like the Ticats are annoyed, you can't really be annoyed with the riders there. You got to be annoyed with the officiating for not picking up on that.
But that's only the one incident.
This is
before true. I give you the floor to talk about the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Let's go with incident number 2. So, one of the Saskatchewan Roughriders players gets a touchdown. Clearly, if you're the backline judge at the back of the end zone, how do you not see this guy's feet in the end zone to the point where he steps out of the end zone and you mark him at the 1? And then it gets challenged.
I'm not thinking of that play. I'm thinking of a play where Keyshawn Johnson, I believe, it gets the catch.
That's the one that I'm talking about.
But it's about 10 yards out, is it not?
No. He caught it in the end zone because this is the one that Milanovic went to go challenge because they thought it was an incomplete pass, and it ended up being a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because his feet was in the end zone, and then he stepped out, and it ended up being at the 1 yard line. And then, like the ref that was doing this,
so you're saying the rider should have just gotten the touchdown on that play. It should not have been at the line.
Like
the second that, because it's like one thing that is important here. So you have to have a foot in bounds. Now, his foot actually it's weird. He doesn't actually step down on his foot. His foot kind of drags. But the rule is that his foot has to touch. It doesn't matter. It never in the rule specifies what part of the foot. So even though it's not like the bottom of his foot and he's kind of just dragging it, that still counts. That's fine. But the ruling on a touchdown is, does the front tip of the ball crease the plane of the end zone, regardless of where the feet are, as long as you're not out of bounds, obviously.
Yeah.
This should have never been at the 1. This should have absolutely been touchdown Saskatchewan. No question.
Oh, they did review it and they gave him the touchdown, but it's like you could tell this was this ref's first CFL game.
Yeah, no, there was
Like it was
there were
just.
some challenges.
But do you want to go over the Saskatchewan?
The Saskatchewan perspective to this. Yeah, so
Yes.
going from top to bottom, talking about Saskatchewan here, just because we got to represent all the teams here on the channel. Trevor Harris, 26 for 37 completion on attempts. 295 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He had an average of about 8 yards. So just kind of okay. AJ Ouellette plays this game. And AJ Ouellette does very well. AJ Ouellette has been kind of looking for a very strong performance where he doesn't get injured. Gets a touchdown this game. His longest is a 47-yard rush. And plays very well this game. Kadeem Carey gets a little bit of time as well. 4 carries, 26 receiving yards, 6.5 yards on average. Toronto, do you regret your decisions yet? We will have to see. Because Kadeem Carey having some success in Saskatchewan, though, as well. Looking at the receiving side of things, Keyshawn Johnson leading it for them. 11 targets, 8 receptions, 127 receiving yards. 124 receiving yards, sorry. 1 touchdown with the longest 28 yards, an average of 15.5. Again, there was one drive where it was basically just all him. Duncan Busby just behind him with 59 receiving yards. And then it keeps going down, Myers and then MLS and Picton and whatnot. But overall, just kind of a good mixture of a very good running game for Saskatchewan, and then enough success with the passing game to really keep the Ticats defense honest. Defensively, Marcus Sayles with the most tackles for them, 9 tackles for Marcus Sayles. Sack for Jameer Thurman as well as CJ Rivas, and as well as an interception for Roland Milligan Jr. And then Shane Ray was the only one to get a tackle for loss. That wasn't a sack. So all in all, pretty good game for the Riders. Defensively, I think realistically they kind of opened the floodgates kind of opened a little bit against Saskatchewan, probably more than they'd like, but they were able to shut down the Ticats on that last drive, which allowed them to get the win in this game. So,
2 minor things. I forget what player that you said that it was his longest run of his career earlier in the video.
Brady Oliveira.
This AJ Ouellette's fun fact: the 47-yard.
I think that was his longest too.
That was his longest touchdown.
Yeah. So AJ Ouellette and Brady Oliveira both getting career longest runs.
The other thing that I'm gonna bring up is I don't know if you notice, Carter.
Okay.
But the Milligan Jr. interception.
Yeah.
I actually looked at, I went back and I looked at that interception.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the photos that I took, but the interesting thing is before Bo threw the ball, he waited too long to throw that ball to Tim White because when he threw it to Tim White, it was too long and Milligan Jr. was already there. On top of that, Kenny Lawler was wide open.
Yeah.
And because he threw it, 3 seconds too late, Milligan Jr. was able to get the touchdown. Had he have not thrown it 3 seconds late, he would have gotten the pass complete. So it just goes to show, within a matter of 3 seconds, don't hold on the ball longer than you have to.
Yeah. So life lessons with Rick.
Did you discuss the pitchforks for Saskatchewan fans?
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. No, I am. So we're in our pick'ems. We're in a pick'ems league full of Rider fans, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what we're in. And the pitchforks were out for Brett Lothar this game, as I forgot to mention Brett Lothar's official stats this game, where Brett Lothar Went 2 for 5. And you'll notice here that he gets just 1 extra point, which is a little confusing because they passed for a touchdown and also rushed for a touchdown, which meant that he missed 1 conversion in this game. And there were a lot of people who were not pleased that were Saskatchewan fans that were very upset. And
was it you that made the comment in the group chat? It's like, are they using chip balls again?
No, I didn't. I did not say that. Did somebody say
that? Someone said that in the group. But anyways, just make note of it. 2 of those misses were 50-plus yard field goals.
Fair enough. Although I think he missed a pretty short one.
But there's already people. What's that?
He did miss a shorter one though, didn't he?
Oh, he did. But I'm just saying, also like,
missed the yeah, it was not definitely it was not up to the expectations. I saw some of them saying, "Well, if this continues, we should get rid of him." And I'm like, "Okay, hold our horses a little bit here." Hold on. Because people are like, "Well, if he is in our game like this, get rid of him." And I'm like, "Maybe you shouldn't." And I was like, "Why? Why would we not do that? Do you have a kicker that can absolutely be better than that besides him?" Because if the answer's no, like, getting rid of him doesn't solve the problem if the person you then bring in makes the same mistakes he does. And so we'll see. But no.
I also remember you telling me, I can't remember if it was this week or last week, that it's sometimes not the kicker's fault. It could be, the punter holding it. It could be the long snap.
Yeah, I didn't see anything indicating of that necessarily in this game. I'm not going to lie. It was just him missing it. But
no, I'm just saying in general.
There have been some instances, especially in week 1, where there were at least 3 instances I can count of where guys just weren't holding the ball properly. And so the kick either missed or the kicker saw it and said, "Fuck this, I'm not kicking this ball. I'm not going to hit anything with this." And then picked it up and tried to throw it and make a play out of it. So, actually, I think it was Brett Lothar who did that. I think Brett Lothar, when in week 1, when Brett Lothar had Brett Lothar was going to go for a kick, and what happened was when Brett Lothar went for the kick in week 1, the guy wasn't holding it properly, so he just picked it up and tried to punt it, but maybe hoping he'd get a single or get it down the field. So yeah, but that's not this game. This game he just kind of missed him.
That happened to us when Nick Constantino went to go punt the ball and he couldn't get it, set it down properly. So he just picked it up, ran with it, got 1 yard.
Yeah, no, that's what you got to do though. Can't blame him. Is there anything else that we got here, Rick?
Not on my ends.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow as we will be uploading our week 3 preview. And then also make sure you guys stay tuned in this Saturday as we are going to be live streaming Winnipeg versus...
Oh, it's official, eh?
Yeah, we're doing it. Rick, are you available?
I will be.
This Saturday?
I may be a little bit late, but I will be here for the live stream.
Winnipeg, BC, this Saturday. We will be live, so make sure you guys will be there or be square. So make sure you guys have yourselves a wonderful week. Comment down below your guys' thoughts on the games this week or your thoughts on, well, just about anything. As we do enjoy reading and checking them out. And to any of our viewers over on Spotify, if you guys give us 5-star, we really appreciate it. So, really appreciate all the support that you guys give the channel and allow us to kind of keep doing what we're doing. So peace, love, and positivity to all you wonderful people at home, and we will see you guys next time.